There comes a time in your life when you realize that walking away is not an act of defeat. It's an act of maturity. And I say this not as a motivational slogan, but as someone who spent years staying in places long after my soul had already left. I used to believe that strength meant holding on, fighting harder, proving myself to people who had already made up their minds about me. But life has a way of showing you that clinging to what hurts you doesn't make you loyal, it makes you lost. I remember a period when I was surrounded by people who said they cared, yet everything about our interactions drained me. I kept giving explanations, justifying my boundaries, apologizing for things that weren't even my mistakes. I thought that if I tried harder, they would change. Spoiler, they didn't. And one day, sitting alone after another exhausting conversation, I realized something brutal but true: some people don't misinterpret you, they simply don't care to understand you. And that was the first time I asked myself a question that changed everything. Why am I fighting for space in a place where I clearly don't belong? Walking away is often painted as a negative act. Society loves to romanticize endurance. Stay strong, don't give up, hold on. But nobody talks about the courage it takes to let go. Nobody applauds the moment you choose your mental health over someone's comfort. Nobody teaches you that leaving is sometimes the most honest form of self-respect. And yet, this is the move that shapes you the most. One of the life hacks I learned about boundaries is simple. The people who get upset when you set boundaries are exactly the people who benefited from you having none. Once you understand this, your whole perspective shifts. You stop feeling guilty for protecting your peace. You stop apologizing for saying no, you stop blaming yourself for choosing distance. And you begin to see who truly belongs in your life. Another story: years ago, I stayed in a job that was slowly killing my sense of purpose. Everyone around me told me to be grateful, to not make things complicated, to just wait a bit longer. But deep down, I knew I was shrinking. I was working hard, but I wasn't growing. And I realized something important: comfort can be deceptive. It can feel safe and familiar while silently suffocating your potential. Walking away from that job wasn't easy, but it was the moment my life started moving again. Sometimes we confuse stability with stagnation, and that confusion can cost us years. You see, walking away is not always about leaving people. Sometimes it's about walking away from your own habits, those versions of you that you've outgrown. The version of you that settles. The version that tolerates too much. The version that keeps choosing short-term comfort over long-term growth. Walking away is also unlearning. Unlearning the idea that your worth depends on how much you endure. Unlearning the belief that love must always come with pain. Unlearning the habit of carrying relationships that never carried you. There's a philosophical truth I learned the hard way. Everything you cling to out of fear will eventually destroy you. Everything you choose out of self-respect will eventually rebuild you. Life tests you not with storms, but with silence. Those quiet moments where you sit alone and truly confront what you've been avoiding. And ironically, the real breakthroughs happen not when you fight harder, but when you finally admit, this is not for me. Another life hack I discovered is this. Before you walk away, try one honest conversation with yourself. Ask: am I staying because I'm hopeful or because I'm afraid? Am I giving love or sacrificing myself? Am I trying to fix something or avoiding the truth? If the answers feel heavy, if your stomach tightens, if your chest sinks, your intuition is already speaking. Most people don't walk away too early, they walk away too late. Let me tell you a smaller story. There was someone I cared about deeply, someone I would have done anything for. And for a long time, I believed loyalty meant staying, even when I felt invisible. One day, during an argument they didn't even bother to resolve, I suddenly realized how one-sided everything was. And in that exact moment, it became clear: love shouldn't require you to disappear. Respect shouldn't require you to shrink. And if someone only values you when you're silent and obedient, they don't value you, they value your convenience. That night, I walked away, not with anger, but with clarity. And that clarity was worth more than the relationship I lost. Here's another observation. When you walk away from what isn't right for you, the world doesn't collapse. It expands. You start meeting people who match your energy. Opportunities appear that you were too drained to notice before. Peace becomes your default instead of something you chase. The moment you stop begging for space in someone else's world, you begin creating your own. But I won't lie, the process is uncomfortable. Growth always feels like breaking before it feels like healing. The loneliness hits first. The doubts come next. The "maybe I made a mistake" thoughts show up uninvited. But then something unexpected happens. You start liking the person you're becoming. You start hearing your own voice again. You start dreaming again. And that's when you realize you didn't lose anything. You just lost what was holding you back. Walking away is not weakness. It's wisdom. It's discipline. It's emotional maturity. It's the realization that not everyone deserves access to you. Not every fight deserves your energy. Not every connection deserves a lifetime membership. And honestly, some chapters need to end, not because the story is over, but because your character has outgrown the plot. So here's my final thought. If you feel the pull to walk away, don't silence it. That feeling is not fear, it's alignment. It's your inner self choosing evolution over repetition. It's your future pulling you forward, even when your past tries to drag you back. Walking away doesn't mean you stopped caring, it means you finally started caring about yourself. And one day, you'll look back and realize. The moment you walked away was the moment you began to grow.